Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're diving back into our series dedicated to reproducing classic Americanized Chinese cuisine with yet another addition to our ever-growing collection of Panda Express recipes with a shot at their newest limited-time menu item, which is a hot orange chicken. For those who are new here, in this series we have been deconstructing classic dishes from Americanized Chinese cuisine, then seeing what it might look like when reconstructed through the lens of more traditional wok cooking. A quick dive down the internet rabbit hole known as Reddit led me to discover that the prevailing opinion about the Panda Express hot orange chicken is that it's really pretty mild, even for the weakest among us, which to be honest doesn't surprise me all too much. From what we can see in their official release, the dish is essentially their standard orange chicken, for which we did a video for a few months back too, by the way. Combined with two chili elements, these appear to be dried Tian Jin peppers and red chili flake. So, for our version today, I think we can heat this up a little bit more while still staying relatively true to the core orange chicken concept. This for us is going to include a bit of dry toasted Sichuan peppercorn, Chinese doubanjiang chili paste, Tian Jin peppers, sweet chili sauce, and of course our homemade chili crisp oil, totaling five different sources of heat in this dish. Oof. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so kicking things off here first, we're starting off with some aromatic veggies. This is 4 cloves of crushed and minced garlic to start, followed by 1 inch or about 1 tablespoon of fine minced ginger, set aside to head into our glaze coming up. You'll find these to not only be the core fundamental of Panda Express cooking, as you can see in their own video, but also the core of most Chinese wok cooking in general too. Next up, moving on to our glaze mixture, we're drawing a good bit of inspiration from our previous orange chicken recipe from a few months back, since I think we really nailed the sweet and tangy qualities of our orange nicely, while also complementing it with just a lot of different heat sources today. So, up first, this is 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup of soy sauce to start, followed by the same amount of rice vinegar to bring out our brightness a bit. Then this is a single tablespoon of sesame oil for our fats, followed finally by our sugars. This is 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup of sweet chili sauce. Now, in order for a glaze to be a glaze, there must be a sugar element of some kind included. Most typically, this would be honey. Today, I'm going with some sweet chili sauce instead to bring out those sugars, but also still underscore it with a bit of capsaicin too. Next up, moving on to our core heat elements today, this is a tablespoon each of chili crisp oil and doubanjiang chili paste mixed together to combine. For those keeping track, I'm using our house-made chili crisp oil, which leans a little bit heavier on the spice, but if you're using something a little bit more mild, like a lao gan ma for example, you can be a little bit more heavy-handed here. Finally, rounding this all out, I'm juicing a single fresh orange, then mixing to combine and setting aside while we dive into our chicken next. Alright, so diving into our popcorn chicken, I'm going with some chicken thigh today. If we're staying accurate, pretty much every Panda Express recipe that you'll find calls for chicken breast because it's leaner, but I'm here to tell you that chicken thigh is almost always better because it's fattier, juicier, and more tender. Anyway, I'm large dicing these into 1-inch pieces, then combining with 2 whisked eggs and setting aside briefly while we assemble a dry batter. This is a 1/3 cup of AP flour cut with the same amount of cornstarch to give it a lighter and more airy texture. Over on the stove, I have a dry skillet on medium-low heat so that we can quickly dry toast some spices today. This is 2 tablespoons of Sichuan peppercorn along with about a dozen dried Tian Jin peppers toasted for about 5 minutes until nice and fragrant. Back over on the cutting board, I've set the Tian Jin peppers aside for a moment so that we can add our Sichuan peppercorn to a mortar and pestle and crush until a fine powder forms. Then I'm passing this through a fine mesh sieve and adding about half of this to our dry batter with the remainder reserved for our garnish later on. I'm rounding this all out with a pinch of kosher salt, then mixing to combine, and finally adding our egg-coated chicken to the dry batter. I'm coating these each individually, then we're moving on to our deep fry next. Over on the stove, I have my deep fryer coming up to 350 degrees F using my handy ThermaPro instant read thermometer. Then I'm frying my chicken in batches of about 20 or so at a time for 3 to 5 minutes until golden brown. Now, I can hear the comments now, wouldn't this have been crispier if we double fried it? Yeah, I mean, probably, but it also would have taken twice as long, so here we are. Moving on, next I've emptied out my fryer, then reheated the wok as hot as possible, added 4 tablespoons of peanut oil, and as always, long yao for that nice non-stick surface. Then going in here first are my Tian Jin peppers for a second fry to release as much of their aromatics as possible, followed by my garlic and ginger. I'm sauteing this for 15 seconds until nice and fragrant, then adding in my glaze and reducing for a full 5 minutes before adding our chicken back to the wok and tossing to combine. I can't overstate this enough. This is the single most important step to any glazed chicken. Make absolutely certain that the glaze is fully reduced before you add the chicken. You should be able to pass the spatula through the glaze without it immediately recombining. If you don't fully reduce that glaze, you're gonna end up with a soggy fried chicken, which is just the worst. It's gonna look like there's not gonna be enough glaze for your chicken, but I assure you that you're doing just fine. Finally, I'm serving this all over rice, garnishing with a bit of orange zest and our reserved Sichuan pepper, and we're ready to eat. Okay, so look y'all, I have made and eaten a lot of orange chicken in my life. There is an entire YouTube series on this channel dedicated to just making glazed chicken dishes like this, and I can't overstate this enough. This is some of the best goddamn fried chicken that I have ever made. It's bright and citrus forward from our rice vinegar and orange, rich and umami driven from our chili crisp oil, and of course it's actually spicy from the literal 5 different types of chili that we put in this dish. Despite this though, I also don't think it's excessively spicy either, sort of like when dishes are so spicy that you can't taste the other elements going on in it. I think we've successfully managed to avoid this pitfall while still creating something that I can confidently call spicy and stand behind it. One quick note that I'll mention, I have made orange chicken a number of times on this channel now, and I honestly can't really taste all that much of a difference between the times that we've used orange juice versus the times that we have fresh squeezed in orange. I just think once it's reduced into the glaze, it's kind of all a wash anyway, and a slightly ripened and sweeter orange tastes essentially the same as Minute Maid would. And while I do think that the zest and of course the garnish add a lot to the dish in plating, if you're feeling lazy, there's nothing wrong with sneaking a bit of Minute Maid in. I won't judge you. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. For those who are new to the channel, this one is part of a larger series dedicated to reproducing classic Chinese American dishes, including a whole bunch of other stuff from the Panda Express menu, so definitely check out that series next if you haven't yet, because there's a lot of these. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, be nice to interneters, and I'll see you soon. Bye.